Happy 50th anniversary of Earth Day. This is Coach Tim. I'm with Timothy Eric Nutrition. I am a holistic health coach. I work with people who are HIV positive or have a compromised immune system or have diabetes or have autoimmune deficiencies. It's a whole gamut of things. And my passion lies within the planet and taking care of her and making sure she's okay. She sits on my left-hand shoulder, as you can see right back there. And I do that through working with individuals and coaching them to open their eyes to what's possible by just making small little shifts in their way of being. And that's what I do. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about the climate crisis, where we're at, where we need to go. And it's not going to be more than maybe a half hour at the most. So I thank you for taking the time to watch this, whether it's live or afterwards. It means a lot to me because I know how delicate and precious all of our times are, even being home. There's so much out there to watch that if you're watching this, I love you and I appreciate that a great deal. It means a lot to me and I thank you. I am going to start to share my screen now so that we can get into what I would like to talk about, and that is the climate crisis and the planet. And here we go. And I also wanted to read a quote to you. So look at her. Here's the quote. Out of this great crisis can also come great opportunity. A reweaving of a frayed social fabric, a fresh recognition and appreciation of the role of the government in ensuring economic stability and opportunity. Before that, however, the United States must mobilize again to overcome an extraordinary global challenge. And I would add, not even just the United States, but the entire planet, all the nations, all the countries. Because take a look at this photo. It is of planet Earth, obviously, but we are one. And if you can't see that by looking at this, then I don't know what to tell you. But we are one, and this photo was taken in December 7th of 1972. It was the first time we ever saw the entirety of our planet and of our home. And it reminds us that we are all connected and that our actions have an impact on our planet. There are no borders. There are no, countries. There are just human beings on a planet, and we are all the same. I wish we could all get a sense to that, and life would be a lot easier for all of us, because we make it too hard on ourselves and we cause too much death and destruction for no reason at all when you take a look at this photo. Here are the questions. Must we change? Can we change? Will we change? Let's start with number one. Can or must we change? Take a look at this version of our planet. Now this is a side version, taking a look sideways of our atmosphere. A lot of people would think that our atmosphere is forever, ever ending, but it ends and it's actually very thin. It almost looks like, a pupil there, like a contact lens, if that's how thin it is. And that's our atmosphere. That's what keeps us living. That's what keeps our temperature regulated. And when we're talking about climate change, we're talking about that little area being affected by everything that we're doing on this planet. And what are we doing? Well, we're spewing 150 million tons of man-made warming pollution into this thin shell every day. Not year, day. That's crazy. Here's a little science for you. Here are the basic science of global warming. This has been understood by scientists since the 1800s. Energy from the sun comes to the earth in the form of light. That energy is absorbed by the earth and warms it. Some of that energy is re-radiated from the earth in the form of heat. Now, some of that outgoing heat is trapped by the atmosphere, which is a good thing. It has kept our planet at a stable temperature. Now, however, we have been thickening the atmosphere by filling it with heat-trapped pollution. More heat energy is trapped, and it is warming our planet at an unprecedented rate. Try not to bore you with too many scientific points, but I have to explain some of them a little bit. And I'm sorry if I'm reading, because I am reading some of this stuff, just because this is my first time doing a live Zoom, and you got to bear with me. That's all I can say about that. But here are the biggest sources of our greenhouse gases, and that can go from everywhere. Now, me as a health coach, I like to focus on the industrial agriculture, because that is something you specifically can do yourself to change the planet's trajectory towards where we're heading right now, which is not in a good place. And that's all dependent on what you put in your mouth, what you put on your plate, and then in your mouth. But I would almost say that the industrial agriculture has got almost as much of an impact on the planet, on the climate, than fossil fuels do. And fossil fuels still provide more than 80% of the world's energy. Fossil fuel use and emissions have gone up dramatically since World War II. As a result of this pollution being trapped in the atmosphere, global temperatures have risen dramatically. That is a crazy graph. And if you can't understand that this is not normal, then I don't know what to tell you, but you just have to take a look at what happened between 1970 and 2020 for the temperatures to be that dramatic. 19 of the 20 hottest years on record occurred since 2001, with the last 5 of them being in the last 5 years, with 2016 being the hottest. And what does heat do to us? But give us all kinds of problems and issues, and not even just humans, but animals too. On a global basis, more than 90% of all extra heat energy trapped by our atmosphere is going into the oceans, and half of the increase of global ocean heat content has occurred in less than 20 years. As a result, we get superstorms. We get Hurricane Florence in 2018, basically taking up all of the East Coast. It's a superstorm. It's crazy. It's like we've been told we would see these once in our lifetime, and now we're seeing them once every year. The extra heat also disrupts the water cycle. The amount of water vapor that evaporates off the oceans increases as the oceans warm. That water vapor is carried over the land and often falls in much bigger precipitation events. We see floods and mudslides because the land cannot handle that amount of water all at once. Things like this. This is a superstorm cell with the column of rain at its center. And this was in Montana in 2010. It almost looks unreal. It's beautiful, but not normal. And this is not normal either, and we're seeing more of this around the planet. Hurting our infrastructure and record flooding and causing so much damage and devastation to us all. Sometimes people wonder how global warming could be blamed for causing more flooding and at the same time more drought. The extra heat trapped by rising levels of greenhouse gases actually leads to both, and as the climate changes, precipitation patterns also change, leaving some places with less rainfall than before. And this is what we get. Changing precipitation patterns can lead to drought and water shortages. This is southern Brazil, and this was devastating droughts in 2015 and 2016, and not good at all. Fires versus temperatures. If the temperatures are warmer, then we're going to have more fires, and that results into this, which we're seeing all too often as well. Every year, again, we're seeing all these once in a lifetime catastrophes, and it's got to stop. The number of climate-related extreme weather events has been going up worldwide, according to the insurance industry. And the last 2 years rank among the top 10 most expensive for overall disaster losses, with over 160 billion of losses in 2018 and 140 billion in 2019. Take a look at this glacier, summer of 1935. Take a look at the same glacier in the summer of 2013. Declining ice mass has dropped dramatically since 2002. That drop is crazy. This flooding occurred in Miami Beach and not on a rainy day. As you can see, the sun was out and the sky was blue. High tides now regularly flood the streets of Miami Beach, as well as several other coastal cities around the world. This situation will only get worse as sea levels continue to rise. Miami is the #1 city at risk in terms of assets at risk, along with China, Newark, and New York. Looking at cities at risk by population, we see that many huge cities in developing countries are very much in danger. If parts of these cities become uninhabitable, where will the people go who live there? The Department of Defense in the United States has long warned about refugee crises connected to the climate crisis, as well as pandemic diseases, water shortages, and food shortages. Sorry. Heat stress is now beginning to decrease crop yields from rice, corn, and soybeans. Not good, our food production. We are losing a lot of quality, good food to eat. And not only that, we're not even producing as much as we used to. Infectious diseases, heat stress, air pollution, and waterborne diseases are all influenced by climate change and not in our favor. I would even say that the coronavirus is caused by climate change as well. Take a look at this. This looks all too familiar these days with us as well. Warmer temperatures have an impact on the spread of tropical diseases. Modern transportation and air travel play a part, but the potential range for many diseases expands as regions farther and farther poleward get warmer. This means there are more and more places where a disease like Zika can take root, and that's why we're seeing it here now even. The main mosquito that spread Zika is now covering a wider range in a warmer, wetter world. The health impacts of the climate crisis are often overlooked, but will affect millions and millions of people. We now risk losing up to 50% of all land-based species in this century due to climate change. Here are the costs. All these threats help to answer the question, must we change? So must we? Yes. Can we? Well, we have the solutions. We have the solutions at hand. For example, look at renewable energy. Wind energy was predicted to provide 30 gigawatts of electricity worldwide by 2010. However, that went 22 times by 2019. Pretty amazing. Wind energy growth has skyrocketed since 2005. More hope. Wind energy could supply 40 times more electricity than the entire world currently uses. Solar energy is an even more dramatic story. 18 years ago, the best projection was that we would install 1 gigawatt of solar energy capacity per year by 2010. But now that's 121 times more in 2019. That's fantastic. Even more dramatically than with wind, we see exponential growth in the amount of solar energy being installed around the world. Just as we have seen other technologies, such as computer chips and cell phones, solar costs have fallen dramatically. And in some regions, solar energy is less than half the cost of electricity than from burning coal, sorry. In many countries, there's no universal electricity grid. So we are seeing consumers and businesses leapfrog old technologies and install solar panels in places that have long been denied access to electricity. Chile is a true solar success story thanks to its policy decisions. The country's solar market took off slowly, but look at what's happening now. And at the end of 2018, Chile will have 2.3 gigawatts of installed solar and has an additional 16.67 gigawatts of solar projects approved or under construction. Anything is possible. Every hour, the Earth gets as much energy from the sun as we need to run the entire global economy for a year. So if we increase the fraction of this energy that we harvest and use, we can make a lot of progress towards solving the climate crisis and helping local economies at the same time. Battery storage is an essential part of the green energy revolution. Batteries allow us to store excess solar or wind energy and use it during those times when the sun isn't shining or our wind is not blowing. Very important, because we have to be able to store the energy that we make during the day so that we can still run our lights in the evenings. So this is all in the process of making it a better, more inhabitable Earth by using renewable energy. It's not the total answer, but it's some of the answer. It's going to take everything. Again, it's going to take what you put in your mouth. It's going to take what you drive. It's going to take how you spend your money. It's going to take whether you have 10 kids or 1 kid or no kids. It's going to take everything. And then it's going to even take on top of that technology that we haven't even created yet, because we're not looking at the bigger picture. We're looking at fossil fuels as the answer when we need to get away from them. And that'll make more sense by the time I finish what I'm talking about here. So let's see, LED. LED lights. Within the next 8 years, highly efficient LED lights are predicted to virtually take over the market, as we have already seen. All these automobile manufacturers are now offering or preparing to offer electric vehicles. This is another part of sustainable revolution. So can we change? Yes, we can. Will we change? Well, that's a good question. But in December of 2015, as we all know, the Paris climate negotiations, every nation in the world agreed to phase down greenhouse gas pollution to net zero emissions as early as the second half of this century. So what's important here to note is that the US cannot legally withdraw until the day after the 2020 election. So another thing that is very important that you do this year is vote. And vote as if your home depends on it, because it does. And our home is this planet. Our home is our family, our community, our nation, the world. And we're all in this together, and we need to vote in favor of a clean planet. And there is a specific party that is going in that direction, and the part that's in power right now on the other side does not believe in climate crisis, and that's a problem. So vote, vote, vote. What we saw in 2017 was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. The Women's March was amazing, and so was the People's Climate March. Take a look at all of those people. It's all individuals forming to bring about massive change in our community. But again, it starts with you. It starts with you getting up and going to one of these events. It goes to what you're going to spend your money on, what you're going to put your wallet out for, what you're going to eat, what you're going to drive. It all starts with you. You're responsible for making this happen. That's the most important part I want you to understand today, is that you got your voice, your vote, and your choice to fight the climate crisis. and do it, because it depends on you whether we survive the future. Speak truth to power like your world depends on it, because your world depends on it. She depends on us. We depend on her. We got to do it together. If you want to take a look at this book, Truth to Power by Al Gore, it's one good book to learn more about everything I spoke about, but it's just the beginning and it's not the full answers. And, you know, these leaders all have flaws and they're not all perfect people. But again, we put all of us together and we work together and we do solve our problems. And that's what we need to do. So that is that. I would like to just talk about a few other things here. And that is right here. Number one, I would love you to think about eating more plant-based meals. As someone who lives on this planet, we cannot continually treat the animals like we're treating them, and we can't raise them just to be killed. We got to stop doing what we're doing in terms of factory farming. Now, if you wanted to go out and, you know, raise your own cow and have a farm, I get that. But this agricultural business, the ag biz, the factory farming has got to stop. And we got to stop treating the animals the way we do. And they're not even healthy for us to eat to begin with. So on this Earth Day, I ask you to eat more plant-based meals. And as a health coach, I can help you do that. And I want to help you do that. So I'm offering a free immunity consultation. You can go over to my Facebook page on Facebook, Timothy Eric Nutrition, and pick a time that's good for you. We can meet for a half hour and discuss what small changes you might be able to make, or if it's even something you want to think about doing. But it's free. You're helping me out as a coach to better my abilities to be able to coach. And I would love to connect with you. You have all the time in the world right now. Give me a half hour of your time and let's see what we can do. I would recommend, I watched this last night, it just came out today. Michael Moore produced a movie called Planet of the Humans on YouTube. It's free. Watch it. Everything that I just talked about, you'll be like, well, all of that's out the window. It really blew my mind. But that's why I also say it's more important to look at every aspect of what we would need to change to make the change we need to see on this planet. And that's not just going to be solar panels or wind or cutting down on fossil fuels, but it's going to be what we eat, what we drive. It's going to be technology, like I said before, that hasn't even been created yet. So that gives me hope that the future generation will be coming up with that technology. And three, just take responsibility and do an immunity consultation with me. And let's see what you can do as an individual to change this whole thing around so that we'll never have to stay home for another virus again. Not that we never would, but you know what I'm saying? This could have been prevented in so many ways. Even before that it hit our country, this could have been prevented if people weren't eating animals. And there's many other ways to look at that. So I'm just asking you to take a look at yourself and what your habits are, and let's figure out a way to make yourself healthier, happier, and living your best life. That is it for this Earth Day. I love you. This is Coach Tim. Peace out. Take care of yourselves. Stay healthy. I'm thinking about you. I love you. And I will talk to you later. Okay, thank you. Bye.